Hi everybody, Karen Fabian here, founder of Bare Bones Yoga. I wanted to do a video which is a little bit of a mashup of some topics I've been covering in my Facebook group. I realize some of you here that follow me here on YouTube might not be part of my Facebook group. If you are a yoga teacher, you can always send in a request to join that group. It's called the Bare Bones Yoga Anatomy Work Group. And I did a video this morning, and in it I was talking about ways that you can frame your cues that take into account where your students are at. And this really has to do with, many times when teachers are approaching cueing, they're coming at it from their perspective. I want to share this. I want to make sure that they're not injured. I want to make sure they get it right. I have this knowledge that I want to share. And really what's most helpful, in my opinion, is to switch that framework and think about what do your students need at that moment to be most from you so that you can be most helpful. And one really specific example of this is whether or not you are saying the name of the posture before or after the cues. So think about it. Your students probably need to know and want to know what you want them to do much more than what the name of the pose is. And if you're taking the limited time you have to present your cues and starting with the name of the posture rather than telling them what you want them to do, you're already missing out on 1 or 2 seconds, which I know doesn't seem like a lot, but again, it's a reframe, right? Which is a neuroscience technique. It's a reframe, putting yourself in the position of your student. Now, another thing to think about is, especially, where I teach teachers anatomy, as teachers learn anatomy, they want to share it. And so the issue then becomes, how do I share something that's anatomically related, which tends to be complex, in the context of cueing and not completely lose my student? So one framework that I can share with you is to give them an action, an action, an action, and then an anatomy cue. Because in this way, you're giving them the main piece first. What do I want you to do? And then you're kind of like a cherry on top, giving them the add-on, which is, hey, did you know that as you're doing this, this is a particular muscle that's in action? So I'm going to give you an example of that. Let's say you had people in a forward fold and you were going to bring them into half moon. So you could say, bring your right hand to the ground, bring your left hand to your hip, take your left leg back, press back through your heel, reach your arm to the sky. See if you feel the strength in your standing leg and your leg in the air as a result of a contraction of your quadriceps. Okay? So again, the wording you can play around with. I want you to focus more on how I presented that. So I gave them action, 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 action. I think I gave 4 action cues. And then I talked to them about the quadriceps, right? So the quadriceps muscle, you probably know this, is the knee extender, and it's on the front of the thigh. And so that, gives them some information there about the quadriceps. What if I had people on their back and I wanted to bring them up into boat and talk to them about how boat is a good hip flexor strengthener? I could say hug your knees into your chest, come up and balance on your sitting bones. Find your balance there, extend your legs and arms. Now draw your belly button in towards your spine. See if you feel the contraction of that muscle right up the middle of your body. That's called the rectus abdominis. Take a big breath and then exhale, feet to the ground. So there in that cue, I want you to notice a couple things. So action, 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 name of muscle, breathing cue, and then release. And notice how I framed the cue around the muscle. I didn't say, and this was intentional, I didn't say, feel your rectus abdominis contract. I said, see if you feel. And the reason I did that is because I don't want to really prescribe to them what they should feel. I want to put them in a mindset of questioning and inquiry and wonderment and curiosity. So if I say it as a question and phrase it, see if you feel, Then it wakes them up, it's a question, they hear the tone of my voice change, and it gives them the information about the muscle, right? So your rectus abdominis runs from your pubic bone to your sternum. It's a spinal flexor muscle. And it gives them an opportunity to check with their bodily sensations, their somatic sense, how it feels to them, and hear my cue. See if you feel the rectus abdominis contract as you draw your belly button into your spine. Rather than me saying you should feel your rectus abdominis contract as you draw your belly button into your spine. What if they don't feel that? Then the next place they're going to go is, oh, I'm doing it wrong. So just framing it, just saying it, phrasing it in a way like a question is a great way to make your students come back into presence, to tap them into how they feel. You're giving them the information about the muscle. It connects that movement with the learning. So it's a really, really good way to provide the information to them in a way that's sustainable, like they'll really remember that for the long term. So, I know that teachers, and you're probably watching this as a yoga teacher, always find it challenging in terms of how to cue, right? Even seasoned teachers, there's always kind of reworking around cueing. So if you're out there and you're feeling like, I don't want to overwhelm my students, I want them to get it right, I want to teach safe classes, all of that comes from the cues. I want you to remember the cues really are your main way of communicating to your students in terms of what you want them to do. There's a lot of other things you can do, like practice with them, or demo things, or assist them by just going over and lightly guiding them with your hands. The main way, though, is absolutely going to be the cues. So your job, your main job in all of the learning you're doing and the studying you're doing should really be all around how can I make my cues most effective? And because yoga is a movement practice, you've got to understand the anatomy. So if all of that resonates with you and you feel like, yes, I absolutely, definitely agree with this, but I have a learning gap around anatomy, I can totally understand that. So what I want you to do, if this all hits home for you, is just put yourself on the wait list for my Blueprint Learning Program. It doesn't mean there's any obligation to buy anything. It's just going to put you in a place where when I open enrollment for this program, you'll be one of the first teachers to know about the offer, learn about the offer, and enroll if you want to. It's my signature program. It's all about teaching the anatomy and how to share it with your students. So I'll include the link to the waitlist here as well. Have a really good day. Thanks so much for watching. I'd love to know what you thought about the video, so leave a comment. Namaste.